So let's say I'm a higher handicapper.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to hit the ball higher, farther, and maybe a little more draw bias.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm just going to take my normal. Now, we're going to preface it that my setup will probably look fairly good and normal. And
Yeah, we're doing the drill right now. We're showing how to
Yeah.
add. This is more for the higher handicap player. So we would start by putting the lower body, just the lower center, more on the front, say like 70-30 on the front,
Okay.
and just sliding it forward. What that does, that helps to preset a rightward tilt, and now the slide's already done. They're already forward. Now all they have to do is extend. So we tell them when they come through, raise their hips up through the ball. So you just want to either push you just push the ball out.
And when you say raise up, if I don't know what that
Tuck
means,
your hips, extend your hips.
this way.
Yes.
Okay.
So
So raise them from the ground.
Yes.
Okay.
So the belt level would be getting higher through the ball. Again, just go through the ball. See, now the belt's higher than where it was at the setup.
Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about the hanger training aid. I absolutely love this. I firmly believe that this is good for every single golfer. This hanger here creates and controls what I think is the most important part of the swing, which is the wrist angle. It snaps right on. It takes me probably 30 seconds to put on. I can put it right in my golf bag, and best of all is you can hit balls with it. You can actually hit balls with it. So I love this hanger training aids. Look at when I do that well, how that sits on my forearm. Now watch when I cut my wrist, how that comes off. Immediate feedback for where my wrist angle is at. No one that can have too flat of a left wrist. One of the few things that all good ball strikers have, we're trying to have. Flat left wrist, right? Super easy to use, incredible immediate feedback. With the coupon code GogornoGolf.com, it's only $59. You're gonna absolutely love it. We'll put all the details down in the description down below. All right guys, so we're back out at the Bethlehem Golf Club. I'm joined here today with my coaching partner, Mr. Steve Saracki. You guys know Steve from our previous videos. In today's video, we want to talk about something we hear a ton of questions on and things we talk about a lot pretty much every day when we're coaching together online at CogornoGolf.com. And this one's going to be about the blending of the hip motions during the downswing.
Yep.
So let's just dive right into it and sort of let's talk to a golfer who's watching like we would explain it to one of our members.
Yeah.
How so the three parts of the hip motions, how we blend them together.
Yep.
And then maybe a couple of the faults and fixes, common faults and fixes.
Yeah, so typically, you know well, the three motions would be, probably face this camera, that, you know, you extend, the hips extend, coming down, they slide, and then they turn. And it's really blending all three of those parts together through the ball. And typically what we see with our members is that they don't have enough extension. You know, most of them, like we just talked about in the last video, they have their hips back, their head goes forward, they stay in flexion. That makes the path come more across the ball, where if you started to do it too fast, if you started sliding and extending too fast, that would get the club more behind. So I think if you start there, that'd be a pretty good part to start with. So majority we're doing is we're teaching our members how to slide, how to extend more to get the club more behind. Yeah. So they can swing more out to the right to draw, versus the back and flexion, making us come more across the ball. So it's really, again.
Yeah, well, just as a point to that too, and I think it's interesting as a viewer and in my own journey, right, through golf, is different levels of players and their handicap and where they're at with their ball striking are gonna have more of some of these elements and then are gonna, by definition, need more. So when we're talking about, hey, if we're teaching a golfer to slide more and extend more, that helps get the club path more from inside.
Yes.
The greater majority of golfers, if we walk up and down this range, or our members, they need that. Yeah. This might be you if you're swinging too far over the top, right? Pulls and fades, poor contact, not hitting it high and far enough. But then, right, if we look at those three pieces, and let's say there's a different level of golfer, maybe someone who's more advanced, who's already hitting it pretty high, pretty far, probably more draw bias.
Push and hook, right.
Yeah. And then what would they typically demonstrate too much of or need more
of? They would be the ones that would be extending and sliding too fast on the downswing. So they would need more of the turn and the tilt component to help bring the club more around so they don't swing so far out to the right.
And so I think that's really important, because it's not as though every single golfer, if there was 20 of us random golfers watching this video, there might be like 4 or 5 different things that we all need. We could subcategorize together.
Yep.
And so depending upon where you're at, obviously watching video would be the easiest way to know what you're doing.
Yep.
But you also can base some of it likely on the ball flight pattern.
Exactly.
And I think Steve and I, we were talking before, and I think a nice concept for this is to kind of look at it like a pie chart. Just to, even if that's not completely accurate, it's just like, hey, if you want even parts of all three of those, the extension, the sliding, right, the turning piece, if you have not enough of one of those elements, so let's say you have too soon of the other elements, like you always fix it by adding in the other pieces.
Right, you're trying to blend it all out.
You're trying to blend it all out. And so let's pick one of those golfers. Let's say the golfer who, higher handicap.
Yep.
They have low point issues, they hit pulls and fades, poor contact, don't hit it far enough. We would say they would need typically which ones?
They would need to have more of the extension component coming through, as well as the slide component. But typically the way that we would teach them is we would tell them to we'd have them set up, put their lower body more on the front.
Yeah,
So
why don't you teach me how to do this? So let's say I'm a higher handicapper.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to hit the ball higher, farther, and maybe a little more draw bias.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm just going to take my normal. Now, we're going to preface it that my setup will probably look fairly good and normal. And
yeah, we're doing the drill right now. We're showing how to add. This is more for the higher handicap player.
Okay.
So we would start by putting the lower body, just the lower center, more on the front, say like 70-30 on the front, and just sliding it forward. What that does, that helps to preset a rightward tilt, and now the slide's already done. They're already forward. Now all they have to do is extend. So we tell them when they come through, raise their hips up through the ball. So you just want to either you just push the ball out.
And when you say raise up, if I don't know what
tuck
that means,
your hips, extend your hips.
This way?
Yes.
Okay.
So
raise them from the ground?
Yes.
Okay.
So the belt level would be getting higher through the ball. Again, just go through the ball. See, now the belt's higher than where it was at the setup.
Okay.
And we're starting by doing that by putting the lower body's weight more on the front foot. So then the slide and the weight forward component's already out of it that a higher handicap needs. And this is just teaching them how to start extending their pelvis through the ball. They might feel like they're jumping through the ball. You feel like your hips are really high and facing the target.
Yeah, straightening the legs, pushing the hips up and forward.
Yes.
And now this golfer who would be doing this, their normal swing would look something more like this.
Yes.
With the hips back.
Hips back.
Forward
swing
bend.
would go forward bend, hitting across the ball.
And obviously that was exaggerated, but there would be some
not really, not really. That's
varying degrees.
Yeah,
varying degrees. So I'm having my pressure and hips forward to preset the tilt.
Yep.
And then I'm
so
gonna
weight's already forward.
Weight's already forward. I'm gonna feel like I raise the belt and push the hips forward.
Yep.
Now, would you start someone like, hey, I'm gonna push balls out level 1?
Yeah. Just to show them how the motion's supposed to work through the ball, I would just have them just kind of push it out the way you just did it.
Let's say I was good at that then.
Yeah, then now start
Chip
going
shot.
back. Yeah, half back swings.
So now I'm just gonna add a little back swing.
Same 70-30 lower body weight. And then from there, it just makes it easier to start standing up, raising your hips up through the ball.
And so as I'm doing that, some of the sensations that I'm getting as I'm working through there, I feel like I'm straightening the legs. I feel like I'm kind of squeezing my glutes together.
Yep.
A little tiger activation.
Yep.
And then as I'm working through there, just some stock general things as well. I mean, I feel all my weight on my front foot.
Yep, lower body weight's on the front.
Lower body sore. My head feels back like normal. My arms are straight, right, and pushed away. Let me just have you hop back here, Steve, for a second.
This helps with those extension parts too. It helps you stretch your arms out like you just hinted at.
Yeah. So I'm here, I'm gonna push forward, weights forward, legs feel straight, hips are up and forward, arms extended.
And that's how we would do it for the higher level handicap and what we typically see on a daily basis.
And like, man, and Steve and I talk about this a lot because I can see his lessons when, I see all the lessons when we go through there. So like all of us and the lessons that come in, we're probably at least 10 times a day between all of us as a group are like doing some category of this. So when I say, and when we say maybe that little higher handicap level, that's a lot of the golfing population that needs that. And then let's say I get good at that part, Steve.
Yep.
I come back in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and I'm hitting, and maybe I have too much of that.
Yep.
Let's say.
Yep.
And then I need to add a little bit more of a turning and the tilting component. How would we start that process?
So we'll trade. So now we're going to the, like you said, you got better at it, or the lower handicap player.
Yeah.
They're starting to do the extension a little bit too fast. The hips are moving forward on their downswing a little bit too fast.
And this is a lot of golfers that are like, this is 0 to probably 10, 12 handicap range. You see it a lot?
Probably more like a 5 down.
Okay, so this is a good player problem.
Yeah. I mean, you can see it in, you know, the 8s and 10s, but it's typically, I would say it's lower.
Okay.
You know, 5 to a touring professional.
Yeah.
So they're starting to do the extension and the slide too fast, too early into the downswing. So what they would need more of is they would need more of the turning and the tilting part, and that's where, let me take the stick, you'll trade. So I would have them put a stick through their belt loops. I'm just going to hold it here.
Yeah.
And how we would start to practice that, because they're starting to swing too far to the right, right? They're doing too much extension, too much slide. So they don't need to start feeling like they're going into the flexion part of it.
Common problem we see when players try to fix this.
I know. And actually that makes them pop up even faster.
Yeah.
So what we would be doing, same things, start with the lower body on the front, and they'd be feeling like they're turning their right hip more underneath their left. So their pelvis is in a side tilt through the ball, which also helps regulate the side tilt in our spine from down the line, which keeps us on the wall. So as we're doing the sliding and the turning and tilting of the pelvis, that's keeping our left hip on the wall as well, and making sure the swing's direction goes straighter into the ball, not so far out to the right.
Let me try that there.
Yep.
Let me pop that. Let me put that alignment rod in there. So if I put this in here, and you know, like I know some people are going to get a little nervous about having their weight preset forward and set up, but it's really just presetting the slide piece, and it takes a variable away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You said it. You took the words right out of my mouth. It takes the variable away. All you have to do for this one is practice more turning and tilting of the pelvis through the ball.
Right, exactly. So if I were to do this even without this in here in the beginning, and I preset a little bit forward, so I preset this here sliding. As I work through here, are they holding this? Is this?
They can if they want, yeah.
Okay. So I would kind of feel this motion.
And you can see when you do that how your pelvis is tilted, right? The right is lower than the left.
And I feel a big sense when I do this, like my left hip is pushed more left.
Yep.
So I kind of feel like in like a hip flexor.
So
push more to the left.
If you did that with a club, right?
Yeah.
Let's do practice swing. I'll be the wall. So you could have something right here, like there's a wall here, and when you come through, your left hip's on the wall, and you can see how your pelvis is tilted and your weight's on the front when you finish. So that's helping the hips turn more in a circle through the ball on a tilted angle.
And for these players, you know, as the hips kick in, the hand path and club work to the right. So for these players, as they're feeling this, they would have an overall sensation, if it didn't happen automatically,
that the club would feel lower and more to the left.
Lower and more to the left. This would reduce the pushing and hooking.
Correct.
Versus if we had the higher handicap and they felt more of that would reduce the pulling and fading.
You got it.
Or increase the pushing and hooking. I kind of low-key kind of like this little pushing on it like this, and getting a sensation of me pushing this right side forward. This lead side works back around.
And under the left.
And under the left.
Kind of like we said in the last video, how the right shoulder is low, now the right hip is low.
Yeah, maintaining that inclination.
Correct.
So as I'm working through, if I'm the lower handicap, and then I'm feeling those same pieces, right hip's lower than my left.
Right's lower than the left,
yep. Right's lower than the left. My left hip feels pushed back against the wall.
Yep. But that's the key, is why we're doing it with the weight forward. So when you do this, you're not moving your hips back to do it.
Yeah, I'm not doing, yeah, exactly.
Look how tight that thing was, like a 2-yard draw.
And then, and I'm even afraid to do this because I'm coming from this other way for a long time. But if I wanted more of this motion, that's what it would feel like. If I come from me being too far this way, right?
Yep.
In the beginning phases, let's say I'm doing the drill and I'm feeling like I'm pushing up with it.
Yep.
I have those sensations. So let me go back and do the first one more time. This is the high handicap version.
Yep.
Raising the belt line into the follow through.
Feel like you're extending and I'm swinging more to the right. Yeah, it was a bigger push. That's what should have happened.
And good shot though, right? Like
good shot, but you can see how the ball pushed more because you swung a little more to the right on that.
Started more right, drew more to the left.
Yep.
And then I do the better version, that should come off.
Yeah, you'll turn and tilt more. You feel like the right hip's more under the left coming through. Yep, tight.
Yeah, maybe a 2-yard draw compared to 10.
Yeah, that ball didn't push as much either.
Yeah. So I like that, Stephen. I like going through for you guys because A, you know, different people are going to come from different spots, but B, you could be at different spots as you go. My hip motion where I'm at now is different than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago when I started. So what you need at this moment in time can be different over time. Obviously, video is the best way to tell.
Yes.
But you get some feedback per your ball
from what the ball does. Yeah.
What the ball does.
No
So
doubt.
that's how you blend the hip motion during the downswing. Think about that pie chart.
Yep.
Think about what you need more. Obviously, you guys need any help, want to send your swings in, we would love to show you how to do these drills personally online.
You got it, man.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.